Yes, good morning, everybody. It's a new month. Happy March to everybody, including you. By the way, the weather hasn't changed. Still a little snowy, a little cold. We're talking almost 40 on Wednesday. It'll feel like 80, won't it? And it's spring ahead this Saturday night. So you get a chance to turn your clocks forward, wasting yet another hour of sleep. My good friend and owner and producer, Jim Sinicropi, does not want to hear about that since he's been busily working on the trail. We'll talk about what Jim's doing as far as covering the audio version of high school basketball Section 5 style. Good morning, everybody. It's a dog with you in the snowy kennel. Hope you all had a nice weekend. No guest today. We had a guest scheduled, Judge Dennis Bender, as you all know, but unfortunately with his hectic schedule, he bit off today's broadcast. He is scheduled to come in on the 13th of April. We'll keep you updated. So we welcome you, and we're going to, myself and Jimmy, are going to go back and forth about many topics to talk about this morning, and hopefully blend in with what you may be thinking in the world of sports. SU basketball, Mayweather-Pacquiao coming up in a couple of months. It's going to be a phenomenal fight. Looking forward to that. I'm not going to spend the $100. Hopefully one of my friends will buy it, and then I'll go to their house and give them $25 or something like that. Jimmy, good morning to you. And you were quite busy the other night covering action. Zach Young's team has advanced. And what I thought we would do this morning, you may want to throw up your charts and we could talk about where we all stand in Section 5 basketball.
Yeah, it was it's wild this time of year because the team will play on Friday or Saturday, and they won't know where they're playing on Monday yet.
Right.
And then, you find out, and everybody scrambles, and who you're playing, where you're playing.
Yep.
But eventually, at this point, everybody knows where they're going to be playing next. The Blue Cross Arena, if they win this
Right.
week. Big semifinal week for high school basketball.
And, of course, my good friend Gordy Heinzman called me last night asking about his granddaughter's Minders Academy girls team. And as of broadcast time right now, we are yet unsure of where they're playing. I haven't seen it listed anywhere. So, Gordy, if you're checking me out this morning, we did check, and nothing advertised yet. Hopefully later in the Finger Lakes Times they will have that documented. And, Gordy, I will call you, collect, since I don't know, it's kind of weird. Let's go to the brackets if you want to, Jimmy, if you can pull up your brackets, and we can get you to comment as we go through it and determine where everybody is right now and in the Wayne Finger Lakes area, who's alive and obviously who's no longer on the chart. So we'll give you a chance. There we go. We
Class A2, Newark.
Okay. Newark had a little shaky one the other night, huh?
Well, yeah, U preps are really tough. When you're in A2, it's a different ball game. You're playing a lot of Newark's one of the smaller teams in A2. In fact, next year they're going to go down to B1 based on their school size. And so it's more difficult for teams like Newark and even Geneva, who won A2 last year for the first time in 20 years. But Newark's got a great team, and I think that win over UPrep at home was a more difficult win than this next semifinal game on Tuesday night at the Blue Cross will be against School of the Arts. And then, of course, it's going to get really difficult for them if they should face Batavia again, because Batavia has knocked out Newark the past 2 years from the tournament, and they've got one of the best players in all of Section 5 in Jeff Redman. But I think the kids from Newark are actually kind of hoping it'll be Batavia so they can
little revenge factor.
Yeah, absolutely.
So that's a look at A2 with Newark, one of our favorite teams that we've had a chance to cover quite a bit this year. And then we'll advance on to the next bracket.
And B1, Palmyra's still alive after beating Penn Yan last week. It's this is not quite as difficult as A2, but the teams that are left, Leadership Academy, a charter school from Rochester, Livonia, traditionally one of the great teams in Section 5, the Bulldogs out of Livingston County, and then Hornell, who beat Waterloo. But Palmyra's got a good chance. They got a sophomore guard, Damian Wright, junior shooter, and Holden Knorr, a couple of big guys, and Ben Bracey and Sutberry. So, they'll give it a run here.
And by the way, a Palmac game at Leadership, we played at Pittsford Sutherland. That'll be on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock game time for you Palmac fans as we advance the charts and go on to the next one. That's moving out of B1.
Yeah, I'm trying to find out real quick this Minders girls location because I know it's out there.
Okay.
It's at Marion High School.
Okay, Gordle, if you're checking me out this morning, Marion High School is the site of the Minders Academy girls game that, of course, we play tomorrow night. Tuesday night, as the MA girls will be battling it out, and we wish them nothing but the best. They had a nice, impressive win the other night.
Yeah, they got a really good shot. I actually think they're going to take home the crown. So
That's right.
So we'll see here. Let's take a look now, moving ahead to B2. And this is featuring a game that we're going to cover on Finger Lakes 1-2. The bottom half of that bracket, North Rose Wolcott out of Wayne County against Marcus Whitman out of the Finger Lakes West. And that game's going to be played in Waterloo on Wednesday night. So we'll be live at the gym in Waterloo for that one. And then the winner takes on the winner of Wellsville and Dansville at the Blue Cross Arena on Sunday.
Good.
So North Rose Wolcott has a great team this year. They beat Lions twice. And Whitman, third place in the Finger Lakes West behind an undefeated Naples team and a very good Dundee team. Marcus Whitman's had a great season, too, so that'll be a great game. And, I don't know who to give it to. But North Rose Wolcott coming in, both these teams next year will still be very good. They return a lot of players.
By the way, if you haven't figured it out, Jimmy's broadcast tonight is the audio portion of the broadcast, not the live streaming that we normally provide to the sports fan, you. And that, of course, Jimmy, is because of Section 5 rules.
Section 5 doesn't let us show live in-game images. They're concerned it'll hurt ticket prices, our ticket sales. I don't know if that's necessarily the case, if it would or not. I think the overall product would be better if they let us do some of these. I mean, we'd like to go up there to the Blue Cross and live stream every single game on the weekends, championship weekend. And I think then there'd be copies of these games forever on the internet. And, I think it would be a good thing, but, I know why they do it. I also kind of wish they didn't have that regulation in place for the early round games.
Right.
When we're at these local gymnasiums. I can understand the Blue Cross.
Yeah.
But a lot of things people don't understand is that they have to rent the Blue Cross, for these games, and it's pretty expensive. So they really need to raise the money. They raise a lot of sponsorship money, but then they really rely on the ticket sales, too. So hopefully in the future here, we can work it out, because I think that's a rule from back in the days of where just television was thought of when they wrote that rule of no live images. And, we're a little different, obviously, than that.
So that's the reason, if you keep asking me, and I know I see you in the diners and I see you at Tops or Wegmans, and people ask me all the time, how come we're not doing the live streaming? That's the reason, okay? So it isn't that we don't want to do it, and it isn't that we can't do it.
We'd love to.
We would love to continue our live stream, and, of course, that we have to follow the rules. So let's move on, Jimmy, to another bracket if you've got one.
Sure, I got C1 coming up. We should let people know something new that we're doing this year. We are videotaping. We're capturing the game footage, and then we are publishing it the next day along with the game audio. So we did that from Lions. So you can actually, if you went now, watch that live Lions Cuba Rushford game we did on Friday. You're going to see, the whole thing, the whole deal.
Good.
So next bracket C1, and this is a one with probably some of the most local interest, as you see 3 Wayne Finger Lakes teams in the Final Four. Minders taking on East Rochester and FL East Wayne County matchup. Now ER finished 5th place in Wayne County this year. Minders finished second place in the Finger Lakes East. So based on that, Finger Lakes East traditionally just a little stronger than Wayne County. I don't know if that's true this year, but you'd think that Minders would have the advantage there in Palmac tonight.
That game will be at Palmyra Macedon. Nick Ciotti's team tries to continue to advance.
And then at the bottom, going on to the Blue Panthers taking on Early College, who beat Sodus. If Sodus had beaten Early College, it would have been an all Wayne Finger Lakes Final Four in C1. But Early College is a tough team. They did lose to Naples earlier this year out of the Finger Lakes West. Naples probably a little better club than Gananda. I think Gananda is going to have their hands full there, and might be a Minders Early College final on Saturday at the Blue Cross.
And by the way, a team that I have always loved their name, Gananda, that game will be played at Wayne High School tonight, Wayne Central High School, 7 o'clock tip-off.
Yeah, Minders at Pelmac. It's the only C3 or only Class C semifinal that's not together. And there's a couple double headers, but that C1 with Minders in Gananda and East Rochester are separate sites.
All right.
So let me pull up C2 here for us. And this is another great one for local teams. A rooting interest in both sides. Dundee Scots, Coach Les Miller, taking on number 1 seed Caledonia Mumford. A tall task for Dundee, but they have a deep team and a balanced team. Cole Hartman, Bobby Strait. It's going to be they can beat Cal Mum. Certainly, if there was a Vegas line, I think it would probably be maybe Cal Mum by 7. But I think Dundee can take them out. And then at the bottom, one of the best stories of the year in Wayne Finger Lakes basketball. The Red Creek Rams taking on Geneseo, who's a 6th seed. Red Creek just won the first Wayne County title in school history, and now they go for their first sectional title in school history. And they're led by one of the best players you'll see this year in Jake Slow.
Yep.
Hard-working kid, really, really tough to handle for most teams, and Geneseo is going to have their hands full. So we're keeping our fingers crossed for maybe a Red Creek Dundee final, but probably if I was a betting man, I would say it's going to be a Calmum Red Creek final, and that's going to be a really good game on Saturday at the Blue Cross.
By the way, that doubleheader tonight, Geneseo at Red Creek, 6:15. Dundee at Calmum versus Calmum, 8:15. That doubleheaders at the likes of Marcus Whitman High School tonight for you fans that are checking us out. And if you want to go to this, should be good weather, believe it or not, for those trips tonight. So check that out. All right, where do we stand?
We got C3 coming up next. This is the game that we're going to be at in Bloomfield. Doubleheader. First game's at 6:15, and that's Naples, undefeated, the Big Green Machine, led by head coach Mick Salter, legendary coach. Great cast of players, including seniors Isaiah Tilley and Noah Gorton, great shooters and Andrew Fleischman and Jason Pulver. They're taking on RCMCS, that's Rochester Career Mentoring Charter School. And yeah, there's a lot of controversy about charter schools. When you see these kids from RCMCS, they look bigger, they look older. It's a really tough draw for Naples to play a 5th seed RCMCS, who's only played 14 games and only has played 1 game in the last 4 weeks because they're an independent.
Yeah.
It's a charter school thing, and it's also very difficult to find. They're the only school that doesn't have the roster posted on Section 5's website so far. The only one out of all the schools in all of Section 5. So trying to cover that game, and luckily we got some help from Geneva head coach Brian Miller. They played them just after Christmas and beat them. So that gives me a little hope for Naples because, as we know, Geneva didn't have the best of years on the boys' side, but they did beat this team. And Naples is undefeated at 19-0.
Speaking of Geneva, by the way, my granddaughter is a cheerleader, as you all know, and I talk about it all the time. A little surprised that Mia Morrison and the girls from Geneva got eliminated that early. I was shocked at that because I thought Geneva had a shot to make a run for this.
Yeah, we talked to Ted Baker last night on the Upstate Hoops podcast, and he said he wasn't shocked. He said, the team just there's something missing this year. That Mia Morrison is obviously fantastic, but maybe not as dominant of a Geneva team as in the past. And now the Wayne Eagles, their big rival of late, is still involved in the girls' side. And then on the bottom half of the C3 bracket, there's the Lions. They're taking on Wheatland Chili, and this one is really a toss-up. Wheatland Chili has 3 brothers that all play on the same. And they all play. It's not like they're just all on the team. They all play, and they're all very good. The Roberts brothers. And Lions, of course, is led by Damon Hunter, one of the best players you'll ever see.
Excellent.
Point guard, very exciting, shoots the 3, passes well. On Friday night against Cuba Rushford, and this is a game you can go back and watch on Finger Lakes 1, Hunter had 31 points, 9 rebounds, 9 assists. I mean, you kidding me?
Yeah.
So worth tuning in just to take a look at Damon Hunter.
Exactly.
And yeah, we're pulling big time for this one in C3 to see Naples and Lions in the Blue Cross in the final. That would just be fantastic. So, these C games are going to be in the Blue Cross Arena, and they're all going to be on Saturday. So from like 10 a.m. to noon
forever.
and 2. So what we're hoping is there's Wayne Finger Lakes teams involved in all of them, and we'll go run through them all live. So a couple more brackets here. Or no, actually, just one more bracket, and it doesn't. And this is the only other bracket that had Wayne Finger Lakes teams in it. You see the HAC beat Romulus before losing to Jasper Troutsburg. So D1, no Wayne Finger Lakes teams involved. D2, no Finger Lakes teams involved, and the same with AA and A1. So what we showed you were just the brackets with the Finger Lakes teams involved, dog. But I mean, it's a great tournament. This is Section 5, and this year there's right now 11 Wayne Finger Lakes teams still left. Wayne County at 8-5, I believe, is their record in this tournament so far throughout all the classes. So they've really represented well. 3 Finger Lakes East teams left in Newark, Pelmac, and Minders. Wayne County 5 teams left, if I can name them all: Lions, North Rose, Wolcott, Red Creek, East Rochester, and Gananda.
Wow.
And then on the west, a lot of times tend to think the West is maybe the weakest of the three. Marcus Whitman still alive, Naples, and Dundee. So it's great season.
Hey, let's send some love to the girls, too. Of course, the Minders Academy girls, Gordy Heinzman was curious. His granddaughter, Madison Hillmeyer, will be playing tomorrow night at Marion High School. So that is been officially announced this morning. The Minders Academy girls will be playing. That, of course, is Tuesday night. And, of course, we wish them nothing but the best. And also, speaking of love, Jimmy, we should talk about the amazing, incomparable Damon Nicholson Romulus ladies who just keep on winning and winning easily. They got Jasper Troopsburg. That game's at Dansville High School on Tuesday night, 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
Romulus girls are a story.
Yeah, they beat them.
Amazing.
That Jasper team the past 2 years. They're probably going to do it again. They're very good, and they lost some great players last year. The graduation after winning the state championship, and they did lose one game this year to Dundee, but they avenged that loss. The Dundee girls are also very good, but I don't see anything stopping Romulus.
Amazing.
The question I think is going to be, can Romulus win another state title?
Yeah.
Not can they win the sectional title. But Zoe McDonald is unbelievable. She had 22 and 20 the other night. That was at least the second time this year she's had a double, 20 and 20, which is crazy.
Just win, baby, and Damon Nicholson knows that well, as his team decimated by graduation a year ago, who obviously went on to win the state championship, the New York State Championship for their class, coming back and doing what I didn't think was expected. I know Zoe's a heck of an athlete, but I didn't think they had enough firepower to do what they're doing, and it's a credit to Damon and his staff and to that great team. So to Romulus, to the Minders girls, to all the ladies still available and still on the Section 5 run, we wish them nothing but love. And just a reminder, Jimmy will be in Bloomfield tonight with his team, and they will be covering not one but two games.
Yeah, Kevin Korzaneski and I are going to call the two games. We also have a lot of cool things we're trying to line up. In other words, we're going to the Naples game's at 6:15, the Lions game's at 8:15, the Minders game in Palmac is at 7. Mm-hmm. So what we're going to do is we have Mike Alessio is going to be in the gym in Palmac. He's going to call in with a live update around 8 o'clock tonight. Right. During our broadcast from Bloomfield. So and then we also have going to be getting score reports from the other C3 C semifinal in Marcus Whitman on the Dundee and Red Creek side. So if you tune in tonight, you're going to get the whole overview of all the action.
Exactly.
It's semifinal Monday in Class C. It's really one of the best nights of the year.
Thanks, Jimmy. That's a rundown on where we stand with Section 5. Nothing quite like it. Having done it for many, many years when I was doing radio exclusively, I love doing this trail. A lot of tiresome nights, a lot of late coming homes, but it's nothing quite like it. The Section 5 tournament. Finger Lakes 1 is going to be your internet site for exciting high school basketball. So check us out tonight. And we're going to go on the air at what time tonight, Jim?
Game tips at 6:15, so sometime between 6 and 6:15. It's tough to say when we get set up, and what we do is we go on for most of our games when there's about 6 minutes left on the pregame clock. So we kind of base it off of that, not necessarily a time of the day.
This is Weber This Week. Myself and Jim Sinicropi just reviewing in totality the Section 5 tournament. We got a whole more topics to talk about. Let's talk to the fine people and check out the fine people that make the show possible. We'll be back with a whole more topics to talk about. Cayuga Lake National Bank. Bill Ryan and his team for all of your banking needs. Offices in Union Springs and Aurora. A fine sponsor of this show for over 30 years. DA Liquors, Seneca Falls. Amy Padula and her great team will find that right spirit for you every time. Tell Amy the dog sent you. Steve Wadhams, Wadhams Enterprises, your employer of choice. Proud supporter of this show and local athletics. Bob and Leslie Oman, owners of the Oman Theater in Lyons, as well as the Newark Pilots, a minor league baseball team with a major league ballpark. SenecaFallsCountryClub.com. Awesome 18-hole layout offering a 12-month payment plan. Wilson Press. WPress.com. Seneca Falls. Rich Ricky, my good friend, and his team can handle all of your printing and mailing needs. Once again, this is a dog back with you on the kennel. How you doing, everybody? H. Weber with another edition of Weber this week. Jimmy and myself are doing the show this morning, and that may be the case down the road as we move on through month after month. We're still going to ask you if you'd like to come in and do the show. By the way, just give you a quick rundown for the next few weeks. We're scheduled to have Rick Cole, who's involved with his organization, The Pathway. That, of course, The Pathway Home. And, of course, it's a phenomenal structure, and they do a phenomenal job. Also, Rick and his group are trying to put together and build the first hospice unit in Seneca County. A lot of details will be announced, and Rick will be here hopefully next week, Monday, along with an associate, one of his colleagues, to talk about the pathway, the building of a hospice unit, which, by the way, will be the first in Seneca County. So that'll be next week. Then on the 16th, Mrs. New York. Jessica Lahr, we had to cancel her because I was sicker than a dog, no pun indicated. Mrs. New York, a wonderful lady, Jessica Lahr, will be my guest on the 16th. And then, of course, on the 23rd, believe it or not, it's only going to be a month before golf clubs, believe it or not, open up. April 1st is the open date. Mm-hmm. Jimmy's the president of the country club at Seneca Falls. It's hard to believe that April 1 is the start date. We need to get some water coming through to get rid of the snow. It's amazing, Jimmy. But, hey, speaking of the club, having been a member for many years, and you, of course, being the president with a great board that's working hard to keep that place going. Great deal, Jim. $1,200 includes a cart. With tax, you're looking at $1,296 or something like that. Great deal. So I would urge everybody. I know it's got a lot of snow piles out there. I know you're driving us nuts about this weather. But believe me, folks, it will eventually go away. And, Jimmy, it's a steal of the century, I think. That's a great deal for anyone who's interested in playing golf.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a great deal.
It's a great deal. $1,200 with the cart.
With the cart. And I have that plan, and I love it because I go down there, as Jimmy knows, I play 3 holes, and I go with Mary somewhere, and then I come back and play 54 holes and just drive around and keep playing and playing and playing.
Well, that's the nice thing about
the beauty
deal,
of
or being a member, as opposed to playing as you go, because it is Seneca Falls Country Club open to the public and come play whenever you want.
Right, it's amazing.
Except for a weekend. Well, no, you can play weekend mornings. You just got to make sure you got a tee
time. Get a tee time.
But one of the greatest benefits of a membership is that on a nice, Wednesday night in the summer around 6:30,
take the family
just ride down and then go play 3 or 4 holes, grab a cart, go,
I'm looking forward to playing in the Monday Night League. Your buddy runs it.
Jason Perot.
Looking forward to playing in it.
Does a great job with that league.
My buddy Peter Pontius and me are going to team up and have some laughs on Monday night, so I'll be filling out applications.
Everybody loves that league.
I know. I'm looking forward to it. I've been wanting to get in. I just said to Peter this year we got to play in that. So we got a bunch of topics to run through. Jimmy, let's get your quick comments. No love for Syracuse based on their loss to Duke over the weekend. They got hammered pretty bad. Duke was on fire. Syracuse had their streaks of good play, and then they went to sleep for a while. You can't do that when you're playing the Dukies. What surprised me was Joe Lunardi, the bracketologist, the guy that does for ESPN. He does an amazing job of how to figure out all these teams. He made the comment, which blew me away, stating that I know Syracuse is on a 1-year ban that they self-imposed, but he made the comment, which kind of knocked me off my chair, that if they had beaten Duke, they still, if they were eligible to play in the tournament, would not have been in. That kind of surprised me. I don't know about you, Jim.
Yeah, I don't really care because they're out. I know they're out, so I don't even want to speculate. It's very depressing. I was upset that they put Lunardi on half the screen for such a long time. I mean, what's ESPN doing with that? But
then they said that Syracuse, even though if they beat Duke, which they didn't, they lost by 19, they would have been in a class with Miami at Pittsburgh, and both Miami and Pittsburgh has beaten Syracuse, so I was surprised at that a little bit. Let's talk about some other talk. Your opinion on Kentucky? They're going to run the table, duplicate Indiana's feat, going all the way undefeated throughout the tournament? It's hard to bet against them. It really is.
It is. I'd like to think no.
Yeah.
But it is hard to bet against them. But you know what? They're not as young as you assume, because they did have a lot of guys come back, so they do have some experience.
Right.
But, I don't care who you are. Once you get to that tournament, it's going to be difficult. So even though I would say they're favorites, I wouldn't say there's more than maybe a 35% chance that they win it.
In the history of the NCAA, it's only been done once, going all the way, and that was Indiana in the mid-'70s.
Smaller field in the tournament, too.
Bingo. So it's going to be interesting. Let's talk about SU Virginia tonight. You'll be covering high school basketball. Yeah. That place will be rocking. I would guess another record crowd maybe on tap for tonight. Virginia been ranked top 5 all year long. Great basketball team comes to the Dome.
Yeah, I don't know about our chances tonight. It's a really bad matchup for us. So they have great defensive guards, and our point guard, as you saw, is just not ready yet, and he's forced to play because of injuries and Tyler Ennis going pro. And so I'll put a lot of pressure on guys like Benajay and Cooney. I think that Christmas will have a good game and Roberson inside, but it's a really bad matchup. It's going to be a low-scoring, ugly game, unfortunately.
And by the way, folks, if you saw the controversy, a lot of discussion regarding it was Outside the Lines, which is a 30-minute feature on ESPN, and I always tape it. I enjoy Bob Lee and his coverage of those different topics. One of the main topics was storming the court. That becomes now an issue. The other night, Kansas State, at Kansas State, upset Kansas State, wins the game in the last second. The Kansas State fans come running out by the hundreds. And to the credit of the fans, I guess, the players did something which I didn't like either. They got up on the broadcast tables over by the media center, the media area. It's ugly. I think in the history of the NCAA, they had a serious person get disabled years ago in California, young kid. They showed pictures of him, by the way. And now there's a big controversy how to stop the storming of the court. Jimmy and I was thinking in my demented mind how to stop it, because it is happening way too much. Yeah, and, Jim, my philosophy is if you're a fan, stay in the stands. It's
a part of college basketball, though, and
somebody's going to get hurt.
But you know how many thousands of times that happens that nobody's gotten hurt?
Yeah.
I mean, people have gotten hurt seriously just leaving the ball game, slipping on ice.
They got to do something, though. I mean, I see those kids come out of that stands the other night against Kansas, and I thought, oh, my God.
They need to have more security there, and then what the security needs to do, first of all, for the most part, these fans are smart enough to not go after the opposing players or, bump the opposing players or coaches. You really rarely see anything like that when they're storming the court, but what needs to happen is the school has to provide security. So when that happens, they either keep them from storming the court for 5-10 seconds or they go out and protect the opposing players and get them off the court. But I would hate to see that go.
I don't know. It's scary. It scared me watching it, and I thought to myself, if somebody got like myself, who's old and demented, I wouldn't run out on the court, number one. But number two is if I had tripped, and it's like running of the bulls in Spain. I mean, come on. You're going to get just trampled. I mean, that's an issue I think they got to deal with. I don't know what they're going to do about it. Excuse me, but they got to deal with it because I think it's getting scary looking, and we'll see. We'll see what happens, but it's an issue now in college basketball. Be curious what you think about it, checking us out here on a Monday morning. I talked about it last week, a fight that I'm looking forward to seeing. Hopefully one of my friends that's watching me this morning will spend the $100 and get it. As long as they have a 50-inch screen in their home, I'll come over, and I'll give you $25 for me being there. Just make sure I have Cheez-Its and a cold Coors Light. I don't want to spend the $100, Jimmy, I'll be honest with you, but I do want to see Pacquiao Mayweather May 2nd, MGM. By the way, MGM in Las Vegas. And by the way, May 2nd is another big day. First Saturday of May, the most exciting 2 minutes in the world of sports, the Kentucky Derby as well. A lot of things happening on May 2nd, so I'm looking forward to it. And if anyone's checking me out this morning and is going to spend the $100, I want to be first on your list to get a call, okay? Because I'm too cheap to spend $100. By the way, speaking of gagging, I never thought I'd see this. This guy could go down as probably pound for pound, maybe the best ever in the NBA when his career is over. I'm talking about LeBron James. You may hate him. You may love him. Yesterday, 1-point deficit against Houston. I'd never watch NBA because it bores me, but I did watch the last minute or two of that game. LeBron James, as my phone rings, I should have turned it off. LeBron James, 2 free throws, 4.2 seconds to go. Need 1 to tie, need 2 to get the lead. He misses both. Are you serious? I couldn't believe it, and it truly did happen as good old LeBron James is human, Jimmy, and he gagged.
Yeah, nobody shoots 100% from the line, so it's just a percentage thing. You know, maybe LeBron James or Larry Bird or Caleb Joseph, you're going to make some, you're going to miss some.
And about you baseball fans, they're trying to speed up the game. A lot of new rules this year. I'm all for it. I was surprised they didn't put a rule in about, Jimmy, if you're the pitcher, not to throw over to first base 12 times. It gets old too. That slows down the game.
They did make some changes. It'll be interesting to see what
Stay in the batter's box.
They're gonna when they come back from commercial breaks, they're gonna start right away.
Right, stay in the batter's
that's a big
box.
One. Stay in the batter's box is a big one.
But I thought they would get to that pitcher going to first base.
It's tough though because that's part of the game. You know, what are you gonna say? You can only throw over there 3 times. Then after the 3rd time, the guy can just go halfway down the the baseline.
Yeah, that drives me crazy though. Throw the ball to the plate. Will A-Rod gain a spot on the Yankees team? What will happen with LeBron? I mean, not with LeBron. With A-Rod. Will that happen? Will he get a spot? He's competing. He's in early. It'll be interesting to see how that turns out.
Yeah.
By the way, the Bills are the Bills, in my opinion. I've always couldn't stand this team. And, they spend a fortune. They bring in this quacko Richie Incognito, who's not only anti-gay, he's a bully. And the Pegula family is weird. They bring this guy in, and they say they're going to give him another chance. I was not in favor of that. Of course, I'm not a Bills fan, so I take shots any chance I get here. But then they had a chance to bid with Cleveland to get Josh McGowan, the kid who plays quarterback, not a great quarterback, but not bad, for Tampa Bay. And Cleveland outbids the Bills. The Bills need a quarterback. They can't go to the promised land, ladies and gentlemen, with E.J. Manuel. And I think you all understand that, even if you are a Bills fan. So I was surprised at the way the Pegulas are. They spent a fortune on assistant coaches, by the way, for Rex Ryan. They brought in assistant coaches making, God forsake, gross money, but they won't spend enough money to bring in a Josh McCown. I don't get it. So,
Rex Ryan should realize you can't win this league without a good quarterback.
You got to have it.
Look at what happened to him. In New York, he had guys like Geno Smith and Mark Sanchez.
The Bills just blow my mind. They're trying to turn that program around from being mediocrity to being somewhat of a contender, even though they got New England that division and Miami, and I understand all that. But I just blow me away. They make some of the dumbest move, and I've never thought of Pegulas being the class act that they are, that they would have signed Richie Incognito. He's nothing but bad news, but we'll have to wait and see. By the way, we're out of time. It's a little after 10 o'clock. We have had an opportunity to spend some time with you this morning talking about Section 5. And again, Jimmy, talk about tonight's doubleheader. They'll be on the air between 6 and 6:15 tonight from the likes of Bloomfield High School, and the weather should be decent for your travels.
I hope so. Bloomfield, about an hour drive. AD John Maston very accommodating to us as we had to contact him on a Sunday. And 2 really, really difficult games for the 2 Wayne Finger Lakes teams involved. Naples against RCMCS at 6:15. Lions against Wheatland Chili at 8:15, and Mike Salter's team and Zach Young's team looking to advance to the Blue Cross. And we're going to have updates from the Minders game in Pelmac and from the other Class C semifinal in Marcus Whitman with Red Creek and Dundee, so it's going to be a big night.
All right, Jimbo, thanks a lot. And again, next week, Rick Cole and one of his associates are hopefully to be here on the couch talking to me about Pathway and their very excitable opportunity to build the very first ever hospice unit here in Seneca County. So we hope you enjoyed the show. Take care, everybody. The weather's supposed to be somewhat decent this week. That's a shock, isn't it? It's supposed to be almost 40 on Wednesday. I might have to get out the old dog bathing suit, and I'll send some pictures, and Jimmy will put it up on Finger Lakes One. Well, maybe we'll do the whole front page of me in a bathing suit on Wednesday as I walk around my apartment. Take care, everybody. It's always a slice. That's Weber this week, my way.
by becoming a patron of FingerLakes1.com. Visit patreon.com/FL1.
FingerLakes1.com